in memory of the Queen, there has been one figure that's really stood out.
From countless teddies to special floral displays and marmalade sandwiches, Paddington Bear has become a symbol of the nation's grief.
It all started when he visited Buckingham Palace for a spot of afternoon tea.
Oh, you just want to keep watching it, don't you? It's so lovely. Today we're joined by the daughter of the creator of Paddington Bear, Jankel, alongside teddy bear enthusiast. He's got one on his jumper, Gyles Brandreth. Welcome to both of you. Thank you so much for being here today. Your father, he wrote the books. In fact, you went on to write 2 more with him yourself. So this character that we all love so much definitely has the most special place in your heart. And seeing all the tributes, seeing how important Paddington was to the royal family, what's that like for you and your family?
It's been incredible, completely overwhelming, and of course very unexpected.
Yeah.
But so special. I mean, to be associated with something as historic as the event of the last few, it's just been amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's also incredible is that, that nobody knew about that video being made, that amazing performance by the Queen, but you did.
Yes. That was some secret to keep. I was told about 3 months beforehand. And obviously I had to keep very, very quiet because what made it so wonderful was the complete surprise. Nobody was expecting it.
Yeah.
And you know, you can know about it, but then seeing it for the first time when that footage finally came through and you saw Paddington with the Queen acting so remarkably, how did you feel then?
Absolutely amazed. And I think what amazed me more than anything was the Queen and her wonderful acting ability. She was absolutely magnificent, wasn't she?
Yeah.
What do you think your father would have made of all of this?
I think he would have been very overwhelmed, very proud, but for Paddington, not for himself. Everything was always about Paddington because he was so real to my father. And I think he would have been very, very pleased for him.
And you're the same age as Paddington, aren't you?
Yes, it's very embarrassing. Every time Paddington has a major anniversary, I'm reminded. But yes, we're both 64. So.
And so what's the story around his creation? Where did he come from? Where was the inspiration?
My father always wanted to be a writer. He was a television cameraman at the time of the BBC in this very studio, believe it or not.
Wow.
And he wanted to be a writer. And Christmas Eve 1956, he was waiting for a bus outside Selfridges and he wandered in to shelter from the rain. And there he found a bear sitting all alone on a shelf. And he was the sort of man, he couldn't leave him there all over Christmas. So he bought him, he gave him to my mother. And they were living near Paddington at the time. He thought it would make a good name for a character. And he just sat down one day and he saw the bear sitting on the shelf and he thought, I wonder what would happen if a bear was found on Paddington Station. And he didn't set out to write a children's book. And I think that was one of the reasons it was so successful. It wasn't contrived. It came completely from his own imagination.
But the link is, and how it's all gone full circle. I mean, your father, I think, was a cameraman at the coronation?
Yes, he wasn't a cameraman then. He was a sound engineer, but he was in...
He did all sorts of things, didn't he?
He did. He worked his way up. He was in Westminster Abbey for the coronation, watching it from very high up in the rafters, I believe. So he was really sort of came into contact very indirectly with the Queen sort of through
from an
his
early
life.
age.
But the link goes really right back to the year they were both born, 1926. Your father was born then, and the Queen was born then, and Winnie the Pooh was born in the same year. And the Queen, when she was small, was quite keen on Winnie the Pooh, and indeed gave her permission for some songs about Winnie the Pooh to be dedicated to her when she was only 4 or 5 years old. And you remember at the Queen's 90th birthday, that wonderful service at St Paul's, where your father had written a special story about 1926, which I think David Attenborough read on that occasion.
That's right.
So the Queen had an affinity for characters called Bond. If it wasn't James Bond, it was Michael Bond. And I think the Queen really... Well, she loved Paddington. She loved acting. She was an enthusiastic and a good actress. In the 1940s, you asked her about what she remembered of the war, she would, and her time at Windsor Castle, she'd say, being in the Christmas pantomimes that they put on when she played the principal boy. So I think she came into her own then. But I know that what she was most amazed about was that the secret was really kept.
Yeah.
And it's taken, I mean, Paddington now, thanks to also, as well as the books, the 2 films.
Yeah, I love
the second
movies.
Paddington film is,
great.
in my view, one of the 3 greatest films ever made.
Yeah.
Well, you, that's high praise. You opened the Teddy Bear Museum in Stratford-upon-Avon in 1988.
Yeah.
So, and you have a remarkable collection.
Including a bear given to me by your father. I remember going to his house in St John's Wood, meeting him and your stepmother, and he presented to me a little miniature Paddington Bear with all his furniture. And he gave it to me because in the 1970s, a company called Filmfare that made stop-frame puppetry for television. Older viewers, this is all about us. We watched these programmes in the 1970s. They did The Herbs and they did Paddington Bear. You can still remember the tune, can't you?
Da, 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 da.
Exactly.
Stays with you.
Michael Hordern was the voice, and they were produced by a man called Graham Clutterbuck. Great name.
Great
Who
name.
was in the army with my father. And anyway, Graham Clutterbuck and Michael Bond kindly gave me the furniture. And it all now lives at Newby Hall in North Yorkshire, where, had the Nazis landed in London during the Second World War, the then King and Queen and the two princesses would have gone up to live in Newby Hall in Yorkshire. So that is where that particular Paddington is.
And the teddy bear as a whole, you know, through the good times and through the saddest of times, like we've seen over the last few days.
Well, what is interesting is that Britain, I mean, we were talking earlier, weren't we, about the impact of the royal family globally, how the different... Well, also teddy bears, interestingly. It's an American name, Teddy's Bear. The original teddy bears came from Germany, but it's the British bears, whether it's Rupert, whether it's Winnie the Pooh, or whether it's Paddington, that have conquered the world.
Yes, true.
Thank you so much.
It's lovely having you.
It's lovely to have you in here and to talk about what was a truly special moment. And we've all got marmalade sandwiches to enjoy in the weather and tea as well. So
Thank you both very much.